Vice President, what is President Trump's level of culpability? What's his level of responsibility, say, toward the illness and fatalities we're witnessing every few minutes these days?
I put it slightly differently. What is his responsibility, and what if there was allocating responsibility is I'll let history do that. But it's clear that a lot of people, not just me, but a lot of people saw this coming all the way.
But there's a lot more. For example, I think there's more we're going to have to do as we go down the line here. But we're going to, for example, additional checks to families should be conditions should be required. But I think there's a minimum of. Anyway, I won't go into all that. Let me just deal with your specific. And when you don't have it, you got to get help. And by the way, it's not going to get my point. But anyway, those who've been through that, you can contact my campaign. I'm happy to try to talk to you.
Yeah. What is it like to be a candidate in the time of social distancing?
Well, I'm doing fine, thank you. I tell you what, I'm so darn proud. And those poor people who have lost, anyway, it's just, my heart goes out to them.
No. Listen, we have to make a choice about who leads this country.
He has this case where the thing that would be most beneficial for him would be to go out. But also his advisors know that he can't go out because that is something that undermines what he is. I mean, again and again and again. This is the craziest thing to me. He keeps going on national television and looking down at his notes. And I'm like, that is just so insane to me. Like, nobody does that. No politician goes on. I mean, you're supposed to have some level of confidence in what you're saying or be able to remember like 3 things. And if you can't, should you be president if you're going on television? Literally, he's shameless about it. He has it in front of him. And I can't help but think there's got to be some media consultant somewhere who's like, sir, you got to stop. Do that. And he just keeps doing it, which makes me think he literally needs these notes in order to get through like 4-minute television appearances.
Do you think he's going to read from the notes on his Zoom debate with Trump?
I think he will. I really do. I think he will. Is that he'll be able to what's my
let me read my opening here.
It's just such a telegraphing of weakness, and it's one of those things where it's like not a prepared statement. these are supposed to be off the cuff interviews, and again, he has done this for 40 years. It's not like his first rodeo. You can go watch clips of him on like Fareed Zakaria's show like 15 years ago, talking about the Iraq War. Very different in terms of that and command of the facts, command of the situation. And you look at it now, he can't get through a several minute hit without talking and looking down at his notes.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge problem.
Yeah, but
I'm looking forward to this, man. You walk behind me in a debate. Come here, man. Plan does. By strengthening. That's why I'll end the gag rule, the global gag rule that prevents money from getting to NGOs. My wife is a full-time teacher, taught all during when we were vice president, help people who have or in fact are and likely to get Alzheimer's. By Wall Street bankers, CEOs, and hedge fund managers. Why they do that? How can a person dignity be maintained? Rich Fitzgerald, the county executive, Allegheny County executive, for being here. And union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future. You don't have here in Miami, in Florida. You don't have it here. And that is, if you keep an audience. I did insist. I suggested that we should have people in China at the outset of this event, and when it all started in Luhan province. Forward. Send their job. But think of, it's not about, I know you're supporting by saying booing, but look, here's the deal. All Americans should be grateful to the Speaker's leadership, and for Minority Leader Schumer's leadership, we're going to work in the direction of making sure that we make sure that everyone, in fact, has access to education. I've endorsed the loss of, that you would have, in fact, any doctor's bill you have. And so there's a lot we can do, but when I left the United States Senate, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania,
And I've spent a lot of time, and the University of Delaware has the Biden School there as well. So I spent a lot of time on campus with college students, but it's not just you find that if in fact we provide for, I think anyone who in fact is, I think we should make sure that everyone preschool, we take the Title I schools, and I make sure that anyone who in fact is in school, and not everybody wants to go to college or can go to college and wants to work with their hands or wants to have an apprenticeship or wants to have special programs, they should all be paid for free after high school. I also make sure, I'm going to take too long here, so I'll slow it up, I'll speed it up, and free 4 years of college at a state university that in fact is in your state, free up to an income of $125,000 of income. I also believe that you should be in a position where I'm going to significantly increase the number of Pell Grants that are out there. A Pell Grant is a family basically less than $50,000. You're able to get at the time, it was less than $6,000, but he raised it to $6,000. I double that. And in order to avoid those very high numbers, we have to do at least several things. One, we have to depend on what the president's going to do right now. And first of all, he has to wait till the cases before anything happens. Look, the whole idea is he's got to get in place things that were shortages of.
But he can't even coherently articulate what that critique is or how he would do it differently. You pointed the time frame, 6 days to get out the bed. I mean, that matters, right?
Yeah,
things are moving really fast. Every day we're covering, every day there's major new developments. This thing goes in one direction, it goes in another direction. And if you aren't able to respond in that kind of speed, especially when they're not doing campaign events.
No.
They're not doing fundraisers. They're not, the normal business of campaigning has ended. Essentially, all you're doing is these little media appearances and your 21-minute podcast, and it still takes you 6 days. It recalls when he vanished for a week and they said he was building a home studio. Like that was the excuse.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long.
It does speak to, okay, if you were our leader in this crisis, would you have a competent administration? Would you have a capable and timely response? And if you can't even get a podcast down on time, it doesn't inspire confidence.
His campaign has been terribly run from the very beginning. And then, remember that first disastrous live
We're like the luckiest people on the planet.
I saw a tweet which was and it was like, you know what he should be doing? He should be Skyping with first responders who are out there and just saying, hey, thank you guys so much. I'll fight for you, blah, blah, blah. He should be doing television appearances, not just MSNBC daytime. I mean, he should be out there, meet the press, like every single day. Campaign discussions where he actually has these briefings that he tells us that he has from experts. Okay, get briefed on the air. I mean, This isn't show people what kind of these are like basic things that presidents do, and he should know this as a vice president. The other thing, daily press conferences. I mean, Trump is doing a daily press conference. He's eating up primetime airwaves. I guarantee you, the media wants to give Joe a chance, but he won't even get help them. Like, if he did a daily press conference, they would include a bite of his stuff in the evening news. They'd be like the presumptive Democratic nominee, or the presumed Democratic nominee at this point, given the delegate math. Let's splice that in and give the response.
Absolutely.
He could do that. It's not difficult. Any savvy, and frankly, what we have said, I think he's kind of lazy. I think he just doesn't really want to work that hard. And at this point, everything has fallen into his lap to become the nominee. He doesn't really have to work that hard.
I don't even know if he's capable of doing it, is the thing, to be honest with you.
That was the main response. They were like, yeah, this is a great plan for somebody who's not named Joe Biden.
Right. And he, doesn't fare well with the comparison with Andrew Cuomo, who I covered yesterday, is in fact terrible, but has this commanding, he does the command and control act extremely, extremely well. And so cable news has sort of fallen in love with him. And you have that direct contrast with Joe Biden. Doesn't work out that well for Joe.
Certainly doesn't.